copywritten music, copyrighted music. Hope you're doing well. On a scale of 1 to 10, how was the week? I've asked you every day this week that we've chatted. On a scale of 1 to 10 in the chat, that way everyone kind of is aware of what people's feelings are. I've had a stellar day, just a ballpark day, a day to write home about. So, without boring you, without showing you all the names of my bookmarks, all right, look at this. We have an intro, I should say an introduction video for Erica Kirk. I suppose this is at the event she was hosting with the president in Arizona. Just watch this from Aaron Rupar.
Please welcome Turning Point USA CEO and Chair, Erica Kirk.
Digital fireworks. Too loud. It sounds like villain music. It sounds like the walkout music for a bad movie villain. Watch this again. Turn my volume up and turn my mic down a bit. Can you hear? Can you see? I'm looking at the chat over on Rumble. We look like we're alive over there. We're up on Odyssey. We're live on pilled.net. We're live on YouTube and we're live on X. Wonderful. Ba-dum-bow. So we'll be monitoring the chat over in the restream. Let me see if I can make that bigger. All right. Moving ahead. Here we are again. Erica Kirk's intro, like she's a DJ at a Electric Forest festival.
Please welcome Turning Point USA CEO and Chair, Erica Kirk.
I knew hitters on the varsity team in high school who did not think themselves so arrogant and pompous that they needed a walkout song that was that hard-hitting and emotionally swelling with the chimes and the bells and the gong. It's a little overdone. It's a little much. Nothing about her is explosive. I don't know why they have the digital firework in the background.
Please welcome Turning Point USA CEO and Chair, Erica Kirk.
Yeah, she just lights up a room, huh? They're trying really hard to sell that. To sell the idea that Erica Kirk's popular. That people like her. You know, you see it often enough in stage performance when there's a guy who thinks, wow, that crowd was great. And people in the back are like, it was okay. But maybe for him it was good, so you let him have it. Yeah, all right, cool. It was good. Good night for you then. That's fine. She's like the opener who doesn't draw a crowd, but she's opening for the big name. She's opening for the headliner, and now she thinks that they're all there for her. The crowd was really great tonight. Wow, I have so many fans. I mean, can you imagine if I started my stream with the exact same link as Candace Owens' show so that when she was done, I could just hop right on and have all of her viewers? Because that's kind of the same pass we're given to Erica Kirk. She's as popular as an opener as the people are patient in waiting for Donald Trump to take the stage. And if you've been to a Trump event in the past, then you would know you'll show up hours and hours ahead of time to make sure you can get a good spot. And then you'll be forced to sit through all of the other speakers you'd never go to sit and listen to just to see Trump do his hour or so at the end. That's how it's always worked out. Okay. So that's how they pitch the internet. That's how they want you to see Erica Kirk when she takes the stage. It's pomp, it's circumstance, it's spectacle. There's no actual content to follow. I mean, that's where the clip ends. There's no great big speech she's about to give that they've thought worthy of clipping. And as Aaron Rupar puts it, this is a WWE style entrance before Trump's speech. They're there for the president. She's there in front of the presidential podium. Pulpit? Would it be a pulpit the way that Trump has treated it recently, that he thinks he's Jesus? He might as well call it a pulpit and not a bully pulpit. Okay. Well, I want to direct your attention first to the fact that we have the Charlie Kirk murder trial live today. Why isn't that lining up? There you are. A little better. We're going to watch a few minutes of the intro of this, and it's about 11 minutes into the video that is now posted for you to watch from Fox 10 Phoenix. I didn't watch the entire thing. I don't know anyone that could have sat through the entire thing and not wanted to pull her hair out or go on a one-man mission against City Hall, put it legally. I hate the colic. I'm looking at myself in the corner and I'm just really frustrated with how my hair has dried. Do I sound like a woman? Okay. So we're going to watch a couple minutes of this so that you can hear. It's gross. I have a little. Either I'm starting to see things or I've got a fly flying around here. We're going to watch a few minutes of this. And first, take a minute to just recognize some things. I'm going to point them out now so that when you hear them, they stick out. He's going to tell you it doesn't matter that the defense doesn't know if some of the evidence is credible or if some of the reports that the state is entering as evidence. It doesn't matter if the defense is able to prove that they're real, able to vet them, able to test them independently. That's not relevant because the hearing that they're there for is not an evidentiary hearing. They've scheduled hearings into the future. They've made sure that the defense has access to everything that they're going to possibly spring on them in the trial and use, but no way to prove that any of the things that they've provided are what they claim they're providing, that they're legitimate, that they are authentic. And so you saw the ATF report yesterday, as I did, and it looks like they're pushing exactly what was predicted 2 weeks ago. Oh, hey, we have a new way of testing this mangled fragment of the jacket of what we think might have been a bullet. We're not sure. And we're just going to reverse engineer the picture of what we think it might have looked like before it became so mangled. And then definitively tell you it could have been a .30 caliber weapon. And that's what the state's going to hang its hat on. And I don't think that's going to work. So, just a few minutes of this. Take a listen.
Throughout and even past the preliminary hearing and even all the way up until trial. So the question is a continuance necessary for the purpose of a preliminary hearing? And to understand that, you have to understand two things. One, what is the purpose of the preliminary hearing? And two, what is the evidence that's likely to be presented at the preliminary hearing? And then you get to three, is a continuance necessary? First, the purpose of a preliminary hearing is clear. There's very few principles in Utah law that are more clear than this. There is one purpose to the preliminary hearing and one purpose only, and that is to determine probable cause. Every time a defendant or a trial court tries to expand the preliminary hearing beyond that, whether it's on constitutional due process grounds or discovery grounds or something else, the courts uniformly and repeatedly reject those arguments. There's only one purpose. It's clear in the Constitution. It is to determine probable cause. It's not a discovery hearing. It's not a due process notice hearing where the defense learns what the state's theories are, or what evidence the state is going to present at the trial. It is not a suppression hearing under the Fourth Amendment. It's not an admissibility hearing under the rules of evidence. And it's certainly not a 702 hearing. It is only one thing, probable.
We know it's a preliminary hearing to establish probable cause. We know that. The evidence they've entered on their little fact sheet, their charging sheet, that they then referenced in the affidavit, that is their list of the indictments and the probable cause they have established. Those are pieces of evidence the defense would like to have. And he's saying to the court, it's not important that they have them to test or to verify or to even see if they're real. We're going to charge him on them, and we may not use that evidence at trial. They can litigate that later. They can debate that later, Your Honor. We're going to continue with the railroading because we've set the timeline for it. The train has left the station, and so it doesn't matter what kind of roadblocks you put up or diversions you try to create in establishing an honest defense. We're just going to blow past them, is essentially what you're hearing.
That's it. That's important because that relates to what a continuance being necessary means, right? Can the defense show they need to continue this hearing because it's necessary to a determination of probable cause? If they can't, it's unnecessary and it's going to infringe on the victim's right to a speedy trial.
Listen to him tell you that a continuation, meaning a delay in the trial, meaning, hey, allow either the state or the defense, because anyone can file for a continuation, allow more time. And you'd think if the state had a perfect, airtight case, they were sure they would win because the evidence was on their side and the ballistics and the other facts of the case all lined up perfectly. If that were the case, then they would have no problem saying, listen, the guy's going to spend what little he has of the rest of his life in jail anyway. If he wants to continue the trial and allow it to happen for another 6 months, we will give him that because we want him to be on his best footing when we take him down. We want him to have the best defense possible when we prove he's guilty. That would be an honest interpretation of these arguments being presented. And instead, the state's taking the opposite stance. They're going to tell you, we have a right to continuation if there's a proper need, but he's just going to try to drag this out forever. We want to get him done quick and make sure that we have him labeled guilty legally so that the news can continue to report that he is a murderer, period. Open and shut. We'll put the needle in his arm. That's what they're arguing for. The defense is saying, we don't even know if the discovery is real. You've dumped thousands of files on us. Can we vet a couple of them? We've had access to 2 witnesses out of 1,000. Can we get another continuation to allow us some more time to prepare? And it's odd that the state is quick to say that's not a right they have. It's also, you're going to hear, not a right of the defense to ask for or to subpoena to testify a victim or any of the other victim evidence. Erica Kirk has inserted herself in this case with an attorney representing her legally. She has an attorney representing her interests in the case, and he's arguing that the defense does not have a right to request her appear, nor possibly exhume the body. So I'm saying to you yesterday, wouldn't it be odd if they cremated the body so that, and not so that Erica could create jewelry out of it, that was half tongue-in-cheek, half infinite jest. But if they cremated him, it would be it'd be awfully coincidental and convenient for the state to later then say, sorry, you can't subpoena the body to prove that the evidence is what we're claiming it is, that he really was shot from the front, that his body preserved today or 6 months later would still show that. And really, his body, even being as preserved as it would be after an autopsy, there would still be enough there that the defense might want to prove a mistake was made. It would be really convenient for the Kirk estate then to just go ahead and tell you that we already cremated him. We wouldn't tell you that when we did it. We wanted our privacy. We asked for privacy while we burned all the evidence. And then we went ahead and got rid of it. So you can't ask. You're going to hear him say the defense doesn't have a right to subpoena the victim or any of the victims for evidentiary hearings in the future. So while they're trying, he's saying right now you can't prove if the evidence is fake. And in the future, if we introduce that evidence that we charged you on, if we end up using it at trial, then you can decide if it's fake. But you can't ask the victim for any of her information, and you can't take Charlie's body and prove it yourself. It's starting to get a little too suspicious for the people at home to just be believing it spoon-fed to them from Fox or CNN.
As well as the state's ability to present the case. Justice delayed is justice denied, as the saying goes, and that's because it affects a victim's right to a speedy trial. It affects the public's perception of legitimacy of the prosecution and the judicial system, and it has real effects on the evidence that may be presented at trial. Witnesses become unavailable, memories fade, evidence grows stale. And so the court should not be granting a motion to continue and delaying the proceedings unless it's necessary, especially for such a lengthy period. The next stage in understanding whether or not a continuance is necessary is, one, understanding the purpose, the limited purpose. Two is, what's the evidence going to be at the preliminary hearing, right? Because if you understand what the evidence is going to be, then you can determine, well, is what the defense wants to present, is that going to affect the probable cause determination, right? The only way to know that is to know kind of what the evidence is going to present. That's why Lopez says you listen to the evidence first, and then you should consider, in that case, whether or not the defense should be able to subpoena the victim. And I think the same analysis applies here. Listen to the evidence first, then you ask the defense, well, what are you going to present, and will it be necessary, will it be relevant to a probable cause determination or not?
Notice he's saying just to the probable cause determination, not to the whole case, not to the evidence they end up using at trial, which can be different. Right? If the cops get a call and they say we got a call about a person rummaging through cars, that's a suspicious probable cause for, we believe, a person may be breaking into cars and robbing people or stealing items, so we show up. If later they find out that the person was in his own car, then part of the probable cause statement was that they got a call about a suspicious person, possibly a prowler, but it would not be in an eventual charging document because they're not charging him with that. So they're going to tell Robinson and the whole public story of, look at all the evidence we have, look at all the different data points we've collected to incriminate him. But they're not going to use them at trial, so you can't argue them now.
Put another way, will the defense be able to show that whatever evidence they want to present is likely to defeat probable cause? If they can't make that showing, it would be an unnecessary continuance.
So it's not necessary for the defense to have the time to build an actual defense with the evidence the state has had for months. Right? The state has had how many months? Going on 7 months to be building their case. They've just released thousands of files to flood the zone. We'll get to Steve Bannon later. What else is the public supposed to make of that? And you have the state prosecutor right there standing saying this is going to inhibit the public's ability to believe that this is a legitimate prosecution. So at least he's honest in that moment. Not that he means to give anything away by saying that. He's saying it as a matter of fact. But it is a fact. The public's not going to buy or believe the trial outcome when we see them railroading the defendant. And at every step of the way, when you say, if they've got him dead to rights, give him an honest continuation. Give them, the defense, no right, no reason, no argument to make to say that they were done wrong. There cannot be a, well, yeah, but argument. So if I'm the prosecutor, I would want to say, Your Honor, up into the point of being irrational, we would ask the court to honor whatever requests and motions the defense makes so that we can be sure we're beating them on their best footing, on their best day. We don't want to catch a defendant slipping and have him found guilty for murder when he did not have the time to mount a proper defense. That seems obvious to me. And so from Candace Owens, she recorded this a little bit more succinctly and concisely. As I said earlier, I don't know who could sit and watch the entire trial for 6 hours and not want to go start building a killdozer. Candace is possibly someone with more patience than I have. Mel said, the village crazy lady says, it is absolutely outrageous that after 7.5 months, the FBI and ATF still refuse to hand over the full reports on their investigation to Tyler Robinson's defense. It's even more outrageous Erica Kirk's legal team is attempting to pressure the Utah County Court to proceed with the evidentiary hearing anyways. Notice there hasn't even been a plea hearing, right? There's no plea. There has not been a plea hearing. Has he pled not guilty? No, we're still looking at the evidence and how we charged him and how we got here. That should give you some hope. He's not pled yet. It's been 7.5 months. They're still trying to figure out how they're best going to proceed. The people who in the past week were saying they're going to kill him, and I was with some optimistic hope saying, no, they're not going to kill him. They can't. That would make it more obvious. If they Epsteined him in prison, that would make it way more obvious. They could not find him guilty. And everyone began to see he was innocent, so they can't risk that. Now my opinion's beginning to shift because I'm seeing the court, the trial itself. I'm seeing how they're discussing this. And it's so hammed up that it's like the inversion of an OJ trial. They're going to do everything they can to pin him down when everyone can see that it just ain't so. Mel continues, beyond clear that they are scrambling since they never intended for this case to go to trial to begin with. And I have made that point. Not that they would kill him while he's in custody, but that him turning himself over, Robinson, that saved his life for now. That delayed their suicide by cop plan. You know, just like the Tsarnaev brothers with the Boston bombing, if the FBI puts your name and your face on the news and says it's time for a good old-fashioned manhunt, boys, go get them, you will see the Boston cops driving through people's lawns and running over the victims. Or, I'm sorry, the patsies. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry, the suspects. And if you're the FBI, it's the same word 3 times for target. So they have a patsy, they have a pattern of criminally leaning behavior that if you're someone who doesn't know anything about the world and how people can be framed, then you might think that person's committing a crime just by being there, just by talking to that person, just by having that phone in that location. And sometimes that's all they need to stage you to be a criminal. Like a Tsarnaev brother who goes on a trip, paid for by who? The FBI. But we're not told that in the public. The news just says these guys came back from a meeting with some people that might have been related to the Taliban, and then they blew up the Boston Marathon. How terrible. Never mind that they, I believe, set some people up like that. So, similarly, they don't plan to have Robinson live to see a courtroom. They plan to slow drip his identity, first to spook him, then to tip off his friends and family, to isolate him, to make sure that he doesn't have anyone to reach out to. And then when he would ever call his family or his friends, they would say, just turn yourself in. And that would help the law enforcement determine where he is, to then go get him. And then the story is whatever they want it to be. It's he wouldn't come in willingly. He tried to put up a fight. The suspect is dead. Remember, what was it, 2 years ago or a year ago? There were people being shot on the highway in Kentucky or Tennessee. Pardon me, because I think it happened a couple times. But you had someone who was trying to mimic the DC sniper. They're on the highway shooting at people in their cars. They didn't tell you much more about it until they said, yeah, we've identified, we've located and taken the suspect down. He's now down. Same with a school shooter. They just tell you a active shooter at this location, bing, bang, boom. And then the new update you're hoping to hear always is the suspect is down. You always hear that. You always hope to hear that. The Brown University school shooter, who was really just trying to cover his tracks for having killed the MIT professor. When that guy's getting taken down, we're all cheering, hearing the news. Oh, the students took him down themselves by hand. He had a gun, they had their hands, they took his knife, and they essentially tore his head off. And we're all cheering, going, yeah! So they wanted the same thing here with Tyler Robinson. They report to the news that it's him. First, here's a grainy photo. And then later, once we've confirmed it's him, they release his name and his picture, and we say, oh, here it... Now, okay, I should be clarifying. They didn't release his name publicly, but we now know law enforcement was already in contact with his family, trying to coerce them to work with them and not with him, to let him give himself up. And instead, they brought him to them. It's different when the FBI says, we need to find the kid, we need to locate the kid, and then we need to scramble SWAT to go and take him down. Because they can say, he wouldn't come willingly, we knew he was armed, we believed he could have had another weapon, we believed he was dangerous, he had just committed murder. And then when he's gone, they can release whatever messages they want, and we just have to read them and go, who's believing these? Because he's alive, We have a person who can answer questions. What's the phrase? Dead men tell no tales. Dead men tell no tales. So they don't want him alive. And that's why I have said forever, he was never supposed to survive for trial. He was always supposed to die in a suicide by cop SWAT raid. Even if he's just sitting at his home, they bang on the door. They say, "You're surrounded." He could just say, "Come in, it's open." They could walk in with his hands on his head like this, and they'd still just go, "All right, you guys, we're in, we're good." And that would be it, because they do not want him alive. So him turning himself in on camera messes up their entire case, because the case wasn't predicated on him fighting it. It was predicated on being rubber stamped and accepted by the public. All they needed to do is convict him in the court of public perception, in the court of public opinion. But now they have to do it in front of a real court, and it's going to be a problem.
To hop up on here to make sure everybody is aware of what is going on right now. I am seized, obviously, by the Charlie Kirk assassination trial, and I want to make sure I'm breaking down to the public what is happening, because there is a hearing live right now, the defense versus the prosecution. Prosecution is representing Erica Kirk because she is the victim on this case, and you might recall that Erica did this news hit a while ago. It was kind of weird, where she just asserted, and then they passed around, that she really wanted to make sure that her right to a speedy trial was observed, okay? And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. Like, why? Well, it turns out that now we are understanding that this is going to be the prosecution's strategy. And I will be very clear here. I do not believe Tyler Robinson assassinated Charlie Kirk. And I believe that Turning Point USA is implicated in this moment in a cover-up of sorts, okay? What various roles were played. But to me, looking at the evidence, which I have done more than anybody else, there is a cover-up taking place. And this hearing proves it, okay? So they were supposed to have a probable cause hearing in May. It is slated on the calendar. When they agreed to do this in May, the defense, Tyler Robinson's defense, was like, well, we shouldn't set a date until we all get our discovery requests. And they were like, we're just going to put it on the calendar. Don't worry. We're just going to throw it on the calendar. And then, of course, if you guys don't have what you need, the case will not go forward. Lo and behold, Erica goes on Fox News and says, I want to make sure it's a speedy trial on the victim, whatever. And so now we're hearing that directly from the defense, and the prosecution is not disputing this, they both agree that the ATF and the FBI will not hand over their data files that they have had in their possession since September, despite multiple requests from the defense. They're like, we literally cannot have this hearing because we have not been given any data files. What am I talking about? This is crucial. Erica's team is arguing, we want the hearing to go through anyways. It's just a probable cause hearing. Okay, but they are basing this probable cause hearing. They want this to be televised, and they're going to say, what evidence do you have that Tyler Robinson did this? And the prosecution is going to say, well, we have his fingerprints that are on the gun. Well, what they're not telling you is that they're saying they have his fingerprints on the gun. That's just a summary report that the FBI gave to the defense. The defense is saying, okay, now can we see the digitized files? Can we see the fingerprints? Can we see your process and how you got this? No. You just get the summary. The summary report is all you need. No, actually, we need to make sure that what you're saying you saw and what you have is real.
Yeah. Also, how about this? Can we not have screenshots of texts be probable cause? Because any cop worth his IQ in salary would know. Come on, man. A picture can be fake, especially a conversation that you have a picture of on your phone. How many memes do you need to see of fake text messages in fake group chats with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Donald Trump and other people? How many of those fakes do you have to see to go, oh yeah, okay, it is possible someone could fake that. Hey, we might want to call AT&T and T-Mobile and Sprint or whomever, I don't know, Verizon, Boost Mobile, Mint Mobile, Cricket, I don't know. Who is it? I don't know. Call them all. Or just call the NSA and say, hey, can you print off the actual messages that were coming and going, all the data coming and going from Tyler Robinson's cell phone device and maybe his computer? Let's just get everything from his IP. Let's get everything from both his IP addresses, I'm assuming his mobile device and then his PC. Let's get all of that, and we'll just vet the data from the back end. No, we don't need to even make sure that the texts were sent or received or were real. We'll just look at a screenshot of them. There's a problem with that. There's a problem with the trust me, bro method of providing evidence in a state prosecution.
Also, aren't there 5 other sets of print? No, all you get is our summary report saying that Tyler Robinson's fingerprints are on the gun. Similarly, the ATF is also refusing to hand over for some unknown reason. It actually is kind of a known reason. Like, we don't know, but we know the reason of talking about the gun. They are also unable to get the chain of custody. Again, probable cause hearing. Erica's prosecution is going to say, well, we saw Tyler Robinson get onto the rooftop at this time. We saw Tyler Robinson get into his car at this time. Well, the defense is saying they won't give us the chain of custody. So basically, we can't dispute anything they're saying. It's possible, highly possible, that actually those images were taken on a different day. How do we know if you don't hand us over the files, if we can't see the chain of custody, how these files were created, who it was transferred over to? Otherwise, all we have is a report that says, well, Tyler Robinson, the FBI concluded, jumped onto the rooftop at 12:19 p.m. before taking a shot at Charlie Kirk. We don't have to give you any more. That is the argument that Erica's team is making right now. That, well, it's just a probable cause hearing, so it doesn't really matter. We want things to go through. She's a victim. She wants things to happen quickly. And their defense is making a very valid, a very layered, a not complex argument for anybody who has common sense to understand that there can be no going forward until we have what we need, because we can't dispute what you're saying. We're just supposed to trust me, bro, when it comes to the FBI, who has butchered this case and told us the most unbelievable things since the very beginning.
I didn't realize she was going to say that, and now I feel a little silly for having said that a minute ago. Mary Kate Delvey in the chat on YouTube. Good to see you, Mary Kate. Mary Kate says, if the FBI and... excuse me. Mary Kate says, if the FBI and ATF have the evidence... I'm sorry, I can't do an impression of your voice. It's just too up there. It shouldn't be a struggle for them to hand it over as discovery. I'll say this again. I'm sorry. Mary Kate Delvey in the chat, welcome, says if the FBI and ATF have the evidence, it shouldn't be such a struggle for them to hand it over as discovery. Yeah, it kind of seems like they don't really have the evidence. They just want you to have an idea that they have the evidence. Right? It's that line. It's not that you're in love with me. You're in love with the idea of me. They don't have the evidence. They're just hoping that we all accept the idea of there being evidence. There has to be the idea of evidence. And so long as we all believe, it's like they think it's like religion. They're like, it's the Kabbalah. If we all believe in the demon enough, he'll appear for real. And so that's what they're doing with the evidence. If we just believe in the evidence enough, we can manifest it into the reality of the case, and then the public will just go...
This cannot happen. Never did I think that we would be alive for something like JFK. You grow up, you hear the stories about JFK, you hear the conspiracies, you hear about the corruption of the feds, you hear about LBJ's potential involvement, and you think this will never again happen in the United States of America, and we're never going to be able to experience that. That is happening right now. Every person should pivot, go find, there's live feeds on YouTube, there's live feeds that are on Twitter, and rewatch what is playing out right now in the courtroom, where they are arguing that the ATF and the FBI should not have to hand over their files, just their report, their summary, their conclusion, absent any digitized or data that is included in the summaries, and you should just trust them and go forward with the hearing. This cannot happen. This cannot stand.
Bruh. It's so dumb that I feel like, as I sit here kind of thinking about it, there's two ways. They allow for an acquittal on these charges and immediately move to charge based on new information and new evidence that's, we come out with in the next couple of weeks that you and I will have always kind of had a hunch for and known, if not already known. They're going to come out and say, we have evidence to suggest that Tyler Robinson didn't pull the trigger, but that he was part of a conspiracy, right? They're going to shift the narrative again. And then instead of giving us credit and saying, hey, you guys were right, there was a conspiracy, he's been framed as the murderer. He's just a conspirator. Right? They're going to have to shift it. So they're going to go acquittal for the murder and into conspiracy, or he's going to slip and fall in the shower. I suspect that's coming. I don't think they can be honest. I don't think that they can pull a reverse OJ. I don't think that they're going to force, the secret nasty third option is that they do. They just force Americans to sit and watch a railroading of the young white Boy Scout who, I think we would all agree, if you're on a Discord telling other people who you think are trans furries how much you want to kill Charlie Kirk and how you are willing to do it, and here you can borrow my gun, if you're doing all that for them to set you up, and like I have made the argument, then that's why the FBI wouldn't have a problem convincing you and convicting you in their mind. They don't have a problem setting you up as a patsy if you've just made the case to them that you're willing to do it for real. Maybe they are going to just make us all witness as a humiliation ritual the railroading of a young, white, like I said, Boy Scout American, because he did what all kids have a potentiality and a tendency to do. If everyone on an Xbox Live was charged for what they were saying, prisons would be, fuller than they are today and maybe more diverse. But they're not. But you get a kid who is on a Discord on a college campus saying, yeah, you can take my gun. Yeah, I'll be there. Yeah, I'll pick it up. Yeah, I'll do this. That's enough of an incrimination for them to say, yeah, railroad him all the way. Put him in the chair. Maybe they're going to have to change tacks. Maybe they're going to have to address the evidence and say he was part of a conspiracy. We're going to call Lance Twiggs in, not as a witness, but now as a co-conspirator. Hard to predict.
State again, over and over, with everything that I have looked at, I don't think there's a single soul who has given more of their life, spent more hours examining this case from every aspect than me, because I deeply care about this. And I am telling you, I have not seen one shred of convincing evidence that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. Not one, okay? And the fact that his wife is trying to play this, what I would say to be a sleight of hand, not granting a continuance, take it from someone who is perpetually sued. I have never been in a case where both sides don't just agree to a general continuance. Even me and Brigitte, despite our differences, have agreed to a continuance when we were like, oh, the date that was set, can we push it back? And Brigitte's team just agreed to it. It's almost like just something that you do out of respect for understanding that things have to be done. Why is Erica's team arguing this? They should say, we don't agree with what the FBI is doing. Of course, we want you able to reasonably defend yourself because we want the public to believe that this is not a show trial, right? We want the public to believe that Tyler Robinson did this. They have been signaling to the public that the evidence is so overwhelming. They're overwhelmed. They wake up, they have to pop a Xanax because they're just so overwhelmed by how obvious it is that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk. And yet they're trying to play this game right now. So overwhelming, we don't have the data from September. We just have what Kash Patel and the ATF says happened in their summary reports, but we really should just get on with this trial. This is like a hoax being played upon the American public. Shame, absolute shame that Charlie's friends are in office right now. The people that he fought to put in office are allowing this charade to go on. Donald Trump, Vance, and Kash Patel are allowing this charade to go on. Why don't they pick up the phone and demand that Kash Patel send over the files? Since they all love Erica so much, she's so innocent, she's so wonderful, we love her, we want the public to get off of her. So why don't you pick up the phone and command your FBI and your ATF to hand over the files so Erica can have her speedy trial? Oh, I know. Because it didn't happen. We all know the story that they are giving us is absolute fed slop, but this trial that is going on right now.
I need that. I need that clipped.
Should
Let's
awaken.
back this up. I need this clipped where she says that didn't happen.
Have her speedy trial. Oh, I know, because it didn't happen. Files.
Oh, I know, because it didn't happen. I'm going to be using that a whole lot under Mark Levin's posts in the future.
And command your FBI and your ATF to hand over the files so Erica can have her speedy trial. Oh, I know, because it didn't happen.
It's going to come in handy in the future. So if someone wants to clip that, that'd be great.
We all know the story that they are giving us is absolute fed slop, but this trial that is going on.
I'm sorry, but this whole video, you could just clip that little piece of it and just make a really nice Holocaust meme. And I don't want to encourage that, but you could.
We all know the story that they are giving us is absolute fed slop, but this trial that is going on right now should awaken everybody's eyes to how despicable the narrative is that they are trying to serve us. Okay? Truth does not fear introspection. Send over the files, okay, and bring us to your side. But don't think that we're going to fall for this nonsense of a summary report and you presenting, there's so much evidence, it's overwhelming. No one believes this. And I am literally on fire right now and just needed to rant because I'm watching this and shouting at my screen because I cannot believe the audacity of Erica Kirk, okay? People, you can call me whatever you want. I'm happy to be public enemy number one.
Well, I mean, I'm sure she is happy to be public enemy number one. But again, where did it go? That's not it. Here it is. The audacity of Erica Kirk. You can't say anything
Please
less.
welcome Turning Point USA CEO and Chair, Erica Kirk.
You know when Hillary Clinton said it takes a village? Maybe what she's referring to is like to maintain the image that they create. It takes a village. It takes everybody lying on behalf of the individual to get the individual across the finish line. And I know she was referring to about, children raising a child takes a village. I think she just wanted to take the village and all the children. Erica Kirk, in one day, busy day, has an attorney in court on her behalf arguing that this kid does not have a right to a defense because she has a right to a speedy trial, railroading him. And in the afternoon, she's walking out to deep bass pomp and circumstance and digital fireworks just to open for a president who is, I would say, losing popularity with his Zio picks. Okay. So here was the Fox News write-up. They say, Charlie Kirk murder. Suspect Tyler Robinson back in court as his lawyers want cameras banned. As you hear, they want cameras banned in the courtroom. Do you think it serves the state or the defense? If every day the news, as I've said, they just want a guilty verdict in the court of public opinion, so that if he dies in prison or if they end up having an issue with the evidence itself, people just believe when he gets railroaded, that they'll just accept it, that they'll call you crazy for thinking his rights were violated. Do you think it makes more sense or less sense for the news to every day have cameras in the courtroom or not? They're saying for now they don't want them. Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, back in court Friday as his lawyers fight to ban cameras in the courtroom, saying live broadcasts of the trial are a violation of his right to a fair trial. It's not fair for everyone to have a keyhole view of some, but not all, of the ongoings of the case and to make up their mind like they are a jury at home. So the big argument from them is that it's not fair. And I can imagine he probably feels a lot of this isn't fair. They say defense attorney Richard Novak began the hearing by arguing that Robinson's preliminary hearing must be delayed because the prosecution has failed to turn over critical digital DNA evidence held by the FBI and ATF. Novak said that the proceeding without this raw data violates Robinson's constitutional rights and prevents the defense from verifying the reliability and the veracity, the authenticity, the credibility, the reality of the state's scientific evidence, saying, quote, "We're not asking somebody to go looking for a needle in a haystack," Novak says. "We know that these data files exist because we have summary FBI and ATF reports summarizing the data analysis, we have summarizing reports from the data analyses that go all the way back to September." Robinson's parents sat behind him in the half-full courtroom. His father lowered his head and stared at his hands while prosecutors played a Fox News clip in which a commentator identified as a former FBI agent opined that Robinson was a sociopath. How is a Fox News clip being played in the courtroom not supposed to be biasing at all or used as evidence? No, we're just playing it. We're listening to the news in the courtroom. How is that allowed? But the defense still can't get the actual data being summarized in the ATF and FBI's report. It's a little much. I mean, imagine you go to the parent-teacher conferences and the teacher tells you, hey, your child's not doing very well. They have a C and they're probably, they're trending towards failing the class because we have all these big exams coming up and they're going to flunk those, so they're going to fail. And you say, oh my God, that's terrible. Can I see some of their work? Do you have any of their homework they've turned in? Can I see a test? Can I see a copy of a single thing that you've graded of theirs? And they go, I just have the grade book in front of me and I can show you each and every one of those grades, but I don't have any of their work to show you. And so then you set up a meeting, you come into the school and you're going to sit down and talk to the teacher outside of conferences. This is a special appointment because they're telling you your kid's going to fail. And they say to you, well, I don't actually have anything to show for at all. What my claims are, I'm just telling you they're going to fail. I'm giving them an F. Here's the fail. Would you as a parent accept that? I would imagine not. I would assume no. But the court wants you to accept it, and they want Robinson's parents to accept it when they say, hey, we have evidence. We're giving you a summarization of it. Here's a first little one-sheet printout. It's going to give you fact statements. When you ask for us to prove those facts, we're going to tell you, we're not really sure. We can't do that. We have it, but we don't know. We're not going to share that with you. That's asinine. The prosecutor, Ryan McBride, laid out a massive mountain of proof, they always say, against the suspected assassin, arguing that a 6-month delay requested by the defense is unnecessary because the state's evidence already far exceeds the legal bar for trial. Yeah, you've overloaded. Again, like I said, you flood the zone. You make sure that they're overwhelmed with the volume of evidence, going quality over quantity, hoping that that's just so overwhelming that they can't see the forest for the trees and they end up getting swallowed up by it. Fooled. And that they're telling you, the prosecutor is saying to you, we've got so much to go on that we shouldn't have to wait. And the reality should be, we've got so much to go on, we can do this all day. We ask for a continuation. Sure, prove you have a reason for it. We'll give you a 6-month continuation. That gives us 6 months more time to put nails in your coffin if they've got them. But they don't. So they don't want cameras in the courtroom because every day that they're in court arguing over evidence, which to the court may be proving Robinson's innocence or not guilt, proof of non-guilt, or what would we say? Reasonable suspicion, reasonable doubt. So if we're raising reasonable doubt in the courtroom, the public is not going to get that. We're going to get a completely biased and tainted perspective of that. That may be why they're saying, get the cameras out of here. They're not helping. They say Robinson, 22 years old, is charged with aggravated murder for the killing of Charlie Kirk. Kirk was speaking to a crowd of about 3,000 people on September 10 at Utah Valley University in Orem, when investigators say Robinson fired a single shot from a building about 140 yards away, striking Kirk, 31, and killing him. He could face the death penalty if convicted. Well, he hasn't pled yet, and they're arguing over the evidence, and the claims being made are that the defense doesn't want cameras in and they want 6 more months. The state says, no, keep the cameras in and railroad them away. Does that not paint a picture of kind of what they're doing? Julian's Rum says this, reminder, they released these obscured, low-quality images to help identify the shooter. So if they suddenly present 4K quality footage of Tyler Robinson's face, it's natural to call bullshit. Fair. We'll see one more thing about that, and then we'll move on. Sam Parker says this, you've probably seen TMZ and Jack Posobiec, former Navy intel officer Jack Posobiec, the guy that no one would ever trust. I would never trust Jack Posobiec for a moment. I would never trust Jack Posobiec unless I thought, hey, let's search a guy's computer randomly for something that we should never see in the world existing, and I just had to pick a guy at random. I would say it's probably Jack Posobiec. So TMZ and Jack Posobiec are telling everyone that the bullet for sure certainly matches Tyler's rifle. Sam says, to use an analogy, let's hear how it matches. Every color printer. I'm going to take my earplug out so I can hear myself a little better. To use an analogy, here's how it matches. Every color printer prints a nearly invisible secret dot code on every page that ties it back to that printer. It's like a fingerprint. So let's say you have a printer that handles 8.5 by 11 white paper. Let's also say the FBI finds a torn up, crumpled piece of paper that's 8.5 by 11 white in a dumpster next door, but it's missing the secret dot code part on the bottom. This paper could not be matched to your printer, but it is the kind of paper your printer will accept. 8.5 by 11. So it's compatible. And then Jack Posobiec comes out and says, aha, it's a match. That's what we have with this bullet. It's crumpled up. It's in pieces. They already admitted we don't even know if it's really a bullet. It's just a metal projectile. And it lacks the distinguishing ballistic marks that would or could directly connect it to Tyler's gun. Convenient. But if it is the kind of bullet that is compatible with Tyler's gun, just as a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper is compatible with a printer, Jack Posobiec is saying, aha, it's a match. This is how dishonest and deceptive they are being. And I think we all get that, right? We're all aware. They first come out, they say the bullet doesn't match the gun. We can't actually identify this round as a bullet. They said, quote, the round retrieved at autopsy was not identifiable as a bullet from the rifle. That's the quote. Was not identifiable as a bullet. So when you read the affidavit and it admits this, it kind of doesn't make sense that the new summary document from other analysis at the FBI and ATF have determined that it's a possible and yet actually probably conclusive match. The rectangle goes in the square hole. That's how I feel watching this. It's like people are dumb. Okay. I can only imagine how you would feel watching at home then. Watching dumb talk about dumb. Execute him immediately. I did say it. I didn't get kicked off of X yet for it, although I did feel the deboosting. Elon Musk says it though, and it's a pretty big post. He said, execute him immediately. Here's Elon Musk, the world's richest man, calling for the execution of a citizen who has been charged with a crime. I agree with him. I said it as well. But so there is a little bit of a standard here, not a double standard, a standard. Like if we have the guy admitting he did it on video, we have the crime on video, it's a crime against humanity like this, then yeah, right there on the spot, I don't think we need to do much more than he admits it. Okay, we don't need a trial. We don't really need much more than a sentencing event. You could live stream it. You could make it a pay-per-view. You could build some gallows in DC and have a once a year on the 4th of July Independence Day party where all the people go walk the gallows. And we all watch for hours with popcorn as we go, oh, who's on the Jumbotron now? Oh, what were his crimes? And they list them. And then sure enough, they go up. Maybe that sounds terrible. Maybe it doesn't sound bad enough. For Tanner Horner, who pled guilty to murdering the 7-year-old Athena Strand, seen on camera reacting to a woman telling him that a 7-year-old girl had been kidnapped. A 7-year-old little kid was kidnapped, and he's like, oh, wow, really? I'm trying to get through there. And they go, no, you can't. We have the road closed. A little girl was taken. He's driving the truck he took her in. And so Elon says, execute him immediately. And I concur. I think we all concur. No one's going to argue with that one. You take him around outside the courthouse and you say, enough. The only asterisk little caveat postscript note I would make on that is that's how they want you to feel towards Tyler Robinson. So for as natural as it would be to say that's what he did and he admitted it and there's no argument, okay, wood chipper. That's how they want you to feel with that level of automatic snap guilt reaction to Tyler Robinson, where he has said, nothing publicly, right? I've never heard Tyler Robinson speak in his own defense. Have you? No. We've seen messages that the state claims are his. We see messages that actually, what we should say is this. We see messages that the state was willing to believe were his, claimed by the roommate. Right? The roommate said this, here, I've got my phone. Here, officer. Look at my phone screen. Believe whatever is on it. And on the screen was the conversation from Discord, taken in screenshot form, which would not really be that hard to Photoshop and then show the sheriff with his bad eyes the texts. He could have totally spoofed them. So I don't know if I should blame the state. At this point, I do, because they know they're fake. But when the state on the first day says, this roommate has messages, what I'm driving at here is he's not admitted it. I have not heard Tyler Robinson go to the stand and say, I'm really sorry for pulling the trigger and shooting and killing Charlie Kirk myself as a lone gunman individually on the roof. Right? There's no written confession that he's signed at the bottom that we can read. He's putting up a defense. So for this guy, wood chipper, no second question about it. For Tyler Robinson, they want you to feel the same way. They're desperate for you to think, oh, that guy that messaged his roommate. You don't know that he did, but you're told he did. They want you to just believe it. No evidence, but just believe it. No proof of it being evidentiary. You know what? Believe that it's real evidence. It is evidence. The screenshot's evidence. It could be evidence of fraud and conspiracy to frame someone. In this case, the guy's not arguing that he did it. We know he did it, so put him in a wood chipper. Tyler Robinson has not said a word, but the news has only told you about Tyler Robinson. They've barely even touched on this guy at all. So I'll move on. I don't even want to talk about that. Terrible. Hear from sloppy Steve Bannon. Yesterday, after the show wrapped up, I noticed this, and I thought to myself, is that even real? Is it even possible? Could it be? Steve Bannon pissed his pants today, and we're all supposed to just not talk about it, but I don't know if I can hold it. It's terrible. I said it yesterday. I hoped people would know that this is at least meant jokingly. I said it as a fact statement, but we know after the whole Robinson trial, fact statements don't mean they're facts. Steve Bannon pissed his pants today, and we're all supposed to just not talk about it, but I don't know if I can hold it. And people read that and thought, stern-faced, yep, that must have for sure happened. I'm not going to look into that at all any further. I even followed it up. Again, right off the bat, I was the first reply. Hold the house. We can't even hold our urine. We're in the hot seat now, and it's wet too. People thought, and at first glance, it does look like he peed himself, but you notice that the discoloration here is on the outside of the pant leg and on the inside in a perfect line. And so I will just scroll a bit. Now, we had some fun laughing, but let's not fall for the most ridiculous thing and then assume, like an ape brain, that we should react right off the bat. You see the report of Joe Biden pooped his pants in front of the Pope. We don't know it, but it's funny to laugh at. We can say, oh my gosh, with this video clip, Joe Biden just pooped his pants in front of the Pope, because it certainly appears that way. Do we know it? No, but it looks like it, and it's funny, and we're going to laugh at it. And that's the current status quo in politics and culture today. So yes, when you see a photo or a video of Steve Bannon, it looks like his pants are way wet down the crotch. You can know. Yeah, I bet you it's two-tone pleating and there's something going on and it's a gusset in the inseam of the pants. But it's a lot funnier to look at him and go, yeesh, it certainly looks like that guy pissed his pants. So we had some fun. Now, I don't know if all of X is tricked by some of these things. I don't mean to be misleading and tricking people into actually thinking, oh my God, Steve Bannon peed his pants. If you don't read this as a joke, then I guess read it again. People were in the replies very upset, calling me a liberal, calling me a leftist, calling me a Democrat, saying all we do is lie. As Democrats, all you do is lie. I've literally, being called a Democrat is the funniest thing to me ever, because I think I'm the most right-wing person on the internet. So no, it's fabric, not lighting. It was funny. People enjoyed it. It got a good chuckle. I laughed, and that's all that matters to me. If I make a joke and I laugh, all I need. Here from Health Ranger, he says, now it looks increasingly fake and staged. Where's the ear damage? Now, I want to pull this up and make you all stare at this. Health Ranger is what, 50-something years old? There's a serious problem we have in the culture with media literacy. People that don't know what they're looking at is fake or real. They don't know when Tim Pool is being facetious, or they don't know when Jeremy Hambley, the quartering, is saying something he hopes is a hot take, and then later he'll just say it was just a joke or whatever. People have no idea what's real and what's not anymore, and that is a sad reality, but it's true. We can admit it. This is an AI-generated photo. Obviously. This person was never there that day. Anyone who looked at these photos for even a few minutes remembers the faces of the people who were there. Let's just point out a couple things for this AI-generated image. Where's the door hinge? Where's the door hinge? This is the inside of a door. It's hinging to nothing. Okay. Trump had a hat in his hand. Where's the hand? His arm just stops right here. It doesn't go beyond. It just stops. The sleeve even stops right there, where it awkwardly meets this other arm. The dude who's famous for being in the photo with Trump with the glasses is not in the photo there. Trump has one leg and it's coming out of his crotch. He might have created this photo. So yeah, when they're saying, oh man, look, his ear's not pierced in this one. Look at that. There's no damage on his ear. People are commenting on this saying, wasn't it the right ear that was shot? This looks fake to me. Maybe he did fake it, but the bigger idiot between the two is you for only now questioning that he might have faked it and also believing an AI image. At a certain point, you got to go, uh-oh, I got tricked by AI. And Health Ranger has a lot of credibility to maintain, pushing different ideas, supplements, etc. For being a 150 IQ polymath, he missed one. We all get it. We get to miss them from time to time. As super high IQ geniuses, we get to miss them from time to time. But this is a pretty obvious one. It's an AI image. Super obvious. Okay. Why do I have to feel like I'm the smart one in the room? Makes no sense. I know I'm an idiot. I know I'm retarded. And yet I can obviously see this. I can obviously see that one. Months ago saying, hey, I bet you Erica Kirk cremated Charlie's bones. I bet you he's gone. I bet you there's no way that they can ever have the defense pull an exhumation card and say, you know what, we should exhume the body for a minute. Let's just look and be sure that the autopsy didn't miss anything. Did he get shot possibly also from another angle? Is there anything we could have missed? You say there's a round and that it fragmented and that the jacket also fragmented and that little baby round that you're calling a bullet that you say was fired from a gun, that round went right into Charlie and blew apart. So all the little pieces are in there and you just have but one. Let's go in there and pull all the rest of the other pieces out. They want to make sure the defense can't do that. You cannot subpoena the defense. You cannot subpoena the body. You cannot subpoena any physical evidence. You may request copies of the summaries of the analyses done by the guys at Langley. Oh, I'm sorry. I mean in DC. Yeah, the CIA is creating whatever they need and then throwing it over to the FBI to give an ATF stamp and then hand over to the defense and giggle at and go, yeah, see what you can do with that.
So let me give you a proffer of what the evidence will be at the preliminary hearing. There's really 4 categories of evidence. The first is surveillance from UVU. Now, UVU has a great surveillance system, and they captured the defendant coming onto campus at about 7 a.m., or I think about 8 a.m. Okay, it's clearly him. He's driving his gray Dodge Charger. I should say he's from St. George, so this isn't just a casual passing by Utah Valley University. This is a 3.5-hour drive from his home, 250 plus miles from his home. They capture his car pulling into the Utah Valley University parking structure. He gets out of the car. He's wearing his favorite Hurley hat, a maroon T-shirt, shorts, and Converse shoes, the same clothing he's wearing when he turns himself in the next day. Clearly him. There's good facial images and everything. He walks around campus and he scouts campus out. He then leaves the campus. UVU surveillance then captures him.
Okay, I'm going to point this out, not to be just annoying and interrupting and pedantic, and certainly not because I like to hear myself talk. As much as I do talk, I actually don't like to hear it. I can think a lot faster than I can speak, so when I'm not on, I'm just thinking to myself. You know, when the doctor asks, do you ever talk to yourself? You go, no, I'm much faster in my own mind. Full-on conversations in group chats, right up there. No, when I pause this, I just want to remind you, they're telling you the evidence is that, in part, they have really great CCTV security cameras on UVU campus. They have captured Robinson wearing his favorite hat and sunglasses and shirt, which you could say, hey, maybe they took them from him or have the same or whatever, or maybe it's just him. As my theory would suggest, I believe, he's on campus. I believe, I'm guessing, because his other accomplices, who were, he did not know, feds, were telling him where to meet them to hand off a gun. How does the prosecutor frame it, though? He tells you intent without actually claiming to know what the intent was. He says, we have footage of him walking all over campus, scouting it out. If you knew that you were going to shoot someone and you knew where the event was taking place, you'd think you'd probably already have it scouted out. Why would he be scouting it out the day of? Doesn't seem like that would be logical. If I'm a shooter, I'm going to have the plan way in advance. I would assume. They're telling you that day he's walking around campus scouting out a spot to shoot from. Does it not make more sense that all we can say factually is we have on camera the defendant wearing the clothes he turned himself in wearing? We have him on camera walking around on campus. We have him placed, identified and located on campus. And we have footage that shows that. That's a fact. But what he does is says, we have footage of him walking around scouting it out, looking for a place to shoot from. Like, how are we allowing that characterization of his behavior when you can't get inside his mind?
Shorts and Converse shoes, the same clothing he's wearing when he turns himself in the next day. Clearly him. There's good facial images and everything. He walks around campus and he scouts campus out. He then leaves
the defense. Okay, here's again to my theory. If they tell the kid, hey, meet us in front of this building at this point, we're going to have a rendezvous point, meet here. Then he goes there and he texts them. He's like, hey, I'm here. Where are you guys? And now they're just toying with him. And they say, we decided it was too crowded over there. So we moved over here. Come on over to this building. And he goes, oh, okay. Walk. So they're telling the story is they've got him hitting all these little points, walking around campus, and they're characterizing it as he's scouting for a location. And it's just as possible that whoever he's communicating with is kind of bird dogging him a little bit and telling him, you go over, you, and marching him around and misleading him to create the appearance on camera of he's scouting. He's looking for something, a place to shoot or someone. He's looking for someone else.
Campus. UVU surveillance then captures him return later. He returns on foot right before the Charlie Kirk event. He's wearing a disguise of sorts. He's wearing a...
So he leaves. He doesn't meet who he's looking for. Then he's off camera, and then he comes back. Is it the same person? Did he go and meet someone, and then they changed clothes and swapped clothes and switched hats and glasses and shirts, so it's not him or it is him? Do we have any idea? Those things are all as possible as what he's telling you, but they're making you believe it only could have happened one way.
Baseball cap, different baseball cap, pulled low, got sunglasses on, a different shirt, different pants, but the same Converse shoes. That's all seen in the surveillance. He's limping because there's a rifle down his pants.
You can't know that because you can't see a rifle down his pants. You can say the state believes he had a rifle down his pants, but we don't believe that. We can see his leg bending, so no one believes that. But you're saying it as if it's a fact statement, and in fact, you're going to claim it's evidence you have on video. I hate this.
The surveillance captures this individual. Again,
big shock that I don't like a prosecutor. Big surprise there.
I don't want to overstate the evidence because the pictures of his face at this time are not as definitive as they were earlier because of the sunglasses and the hat.
Say that again. What?
Face at this time are not as definitive as they were earlier. That's because the pictures of his face at this time are not as definitive as they were earlier because of the sunglasses and the hat. But
so that's really fucking interesting. I just said it. I just said this. They have him on campus and they are sure it's him at first. Then he leaves off camera, disappears, gone. Leaves campus. Then returns. They believe it's him because it's a person wearing the exact same outfit down to the shoes and hat. But now this time they can't be sure if it's actually him with facial recognition software that they said they had a perfect lock on the first time. When he comes back the second time, it's just a person wearing his exact outfit, but they can't be sure it's him because now his face is too obscured. Again, if I'm trying to set a dude up, do I want to wear the exact same thing? Okay. Just throwing it out there.
There's a rifle down his pants. A different shirt, different pants, but the same Converse shoes. That's all seen in the surveillance. Sorts. He's wearing a baseball cap, different baseball cap, pulled low. Got some. He then leaves the campus. UVU surveillance then captures him return later. He returns on foot right before the Charlie Kirk event. He's wearing a disguise of sorts. He's wearing a baseball cap,
He was wearing a disguise the first time. He had sunglasses, baseball hat, shirt, Converse. The first time around, he returns back. Now he's got a different hat, but the same shoes.
Charlie Kirk event. He's wearing a disguise of sorts. He's wearing a baseball cap, different baseball cap, pulled low. He's got sunglasses on, a different shirt, different pants, but the same Converse shoes. That's all.
So a change of clothes and a different hat, but same shoes, same sunglasses. But now this time they can't use facial ID, facial recognition to prove it's him. All that they need to make to think it's him returning is that a guy wore a hat and had the same shoes. The shoes that we think were actually the boyfriend's. We have a photo of Lance Twiggs wearing the shoes. We don't have a photo of Robinson wearing the same Converse shoes with the stripe.
All seen in the surveillance. He's limping because there's a rifle down his pants.
For all you know, he's limping because he just had a wild night beforehand. You have no idea. It's insane to me that the judge doesn't stop and say to the prosecution, the characterization of these actions is unnecessary. It's improper. It's unprofessional. You're here to state the evidence you have, not what you believe in your feelings is what the evidence says you have. Again, it's like a summary of the evidence with their own emotions and interpretation inside, which is to say it's not a summary at all.
The surveillance captures this individual. Again, I don't want to overstate the evidence because the pictures of his face at this time are not as definitive as they were earlier because of the sunglasses and the hat.
So before, he's there with a hat and sunglasses and they could totally get him. But this time he's in a different shirt and pants and hat. Same sunglasses. Now it's harder to ID him.
But it captures his face, captures his appearance, his height, his build, all consistent with how he looks earlier in the day and how he looks today in court.
So let's see them all side by side. That should be really easy. It should be super easy, I would assume. I would think it would be super, super simple and easy to go ahead, release the footage, release the picture that you have of him on campus, and release the picture that you have of him later that day on campus, and the faces should be identical, right?
But he makes his way to the rooftop, makes his way to the sniper's perch on the rooftop, takes the shot, and then runs to the northeast, drops off the building and runs to the northeast of campus into a wooded area. That's all captured on video. Okay, that's the first category of evidence.
So they're telling you they have on video him holding up the rifle, like we said the other day, hold up the rifle, take the shot. We have that on video. Then we'd love to see it. We'd love to see that released. It's really strange that they didn't release that if they have it. They released footage of him apparently running on the roof. We have that. They have footage of him on campus before it all happens, but they don't have, and they have not released to the public, the video of the moment that he pointed the rifle and took the shot. Because actually, we have yet to see a video of him holding his rifle that day at all. And this again goes back to my theory that previously, in weeks leading up to the shooting, you had, here we go, I'll pull it up. You had his neighbor telling the news and anyone else who would listen, hey, people had been coming and going to the house prior to, just like from the Butler assassination. Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin had suspicious people going in and out of his home 2 weeks before the assassination, according to the Washington Post. Who are they? The individuals had out-of-state license plates. Oh, I'll make this bigger. Out-of-state license plates, according to a neighbor. The Post observed Saturday that Charlie Kirk's assassin, the alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, had suspicious people, multiple people, out-of-state license plates, and the neighbor had told the news, yeah, it was so strange because it was a car I just didn't recognize. It was loud and they came at night. And it was a disturbance, not loud like they were playing music, but like they came at night at a time when they didn't expect traffic. They came, one car was left running, one car stops, multiple people get out. They all go into the house through the garage. She thought they might have just stayed in the garage. Then they collected something and left. If you're Tyler Robinson and you're shooting your mouth off online going, hey, transferry friends, wouldn't it be so fun if we killed Charlie Kirk, that motherfucker? And he's telling them that he'd be willing to help them kill him. And you know how it goes. The person in the chat says, oh, I'd love for someone to just shoot him. He's going to be at an open air event. That would be so easy. And then the second person says, oh, I'd love to do it, but I just don't have a gun. And then they're just waiting on Tyler. They're just staring at Tyler. Expectedly, because they're teeing up the conversation, scripting it so that they can have him ad-lib his lines, thinking he's just having a normal conversation. In reality, they're walking him through incriminating himself. So they say to him, yeah, it'd be really great if we could kill him, but I don't have a gun. Another person says, oh, I have a gun, but I don't know. I don't have a gun, but I'd kill him if I did. And then they look and they say, does anyone have a gun that we could borrow? And Tyler, the retard that he was, thinking he was being cool with his new trans furry friends. I didn't mean it, Mom. I was trying to look cool with my friends. I suspect he just spoke right up and said, yeah, I've got a cool rifle my grandpa gave my dad. It's not registered to me. And I bet you could use that. And they go, great. Let's come over and pick it up from you. Adrian Wheeler, 4349 on YouTube says, I thought he changed clothes. He discarded them. But if he's wearing them, when he turned himself in. Isn't that so strange? They asked him when he turned himself in. One of the things that the sheriff requested was, we need your clothes that you were wearing earlier in the day, not during the shooting, but the first set of clothing. Wouldn't that be so strange that I get it if they say it's all part of his plan, so they need every single piece of it for evidence. But isn't it kind of strange that they wanted the backup clothes? Seems odd. Mary Kate Delvey says, was the footage of him at Wendy's that night ever confirmed? I don't know. I don't know. Was it a Wendy's? Was it a Wendy's? You think he was wearing, I think he was wearing different clothes at the Wendy's. And I don't know. Did he go to Wendy's? That's sad. Is Wendy's good where you guys are? I wouldn't go to Wendy's nearby. Jesus. Wendy's is like going to Denny's. Okay. So maybe, I mean, if you know that you're being set up for a murder, are you going to go and hit up Wendy's and just hang out? Is that going to be your last meal? If you suspect that you've just been set up to be a patsy, if you think first you're running away because you believe that you just got away with killing Charlie Kirk, and then you start to see the news and you go, oh wait, what? Oh my God, they're rolling on me. Oh my God, maybe they caught one of my accomplices and they told them it was me. But no. The accomplices are the feds, and they're staging you to appear to trickle out evidence until it looks like you're guilty, and then they can go kill you. I said this back in December, and it was like months of me screaming this into reply sections on X before I just said, I should just publish some thoughts and then have them all in one spot. That way I can just refer to them instead of saying, oh, I told you. This at the time made the most sense. And now 4 months later, it still makes a ton of sense. And I would tweak some ideas and change some things here. But ultimately, I believe Tyler James Robinson, as I wrote, was led to believe that he would meet someone and hand off his gun or collect it from them for that person to take the kill shot on Charlie. And the plan was itself a setup for Robinson to be at the right place at the right time on camera, as the dude literally just told you. This guy's telling you, oh, we've already got him dead to rights on campus. We've got him. He's walking. Isn't that a crime? Isn't that essentially murder? Walking on a campus is essentially the same thing as murder. So they have him in a place at a time on camera, looking confused and stupid. He then leaves campus. He comes back later again. So as I'd said then, I suspect, and have since the day, that the message exchange between Tyler James Robinson and his furry boyfriend were created by the feds to implicate Robinson and corner the boyfriend into playing as a witness or having always been an informant. At this point, he may have just always been an informant. Or face going down as part of the conspiracy. So, hey, Lance, you're going to have screenshots of him while he's away at Orem meeting our guys that are going to do the shot and then hand him his gun back. He thinks, little does he know, we're going to kill him and then have him be the patsy. Tyler's going to be our hanged up man, our one-armed man. He's going to be the guy. Lance, you need to, that in those hours, be ready to produce this conversation. You have access to his PC. You have yours. You need to write your own conversation between him and you. And so here they are. Someone in the Discord, in the months leading up to the assassination, in the weeks that Tyler Robinson is telling his parents, yeah, it's really stupid that Charlie's going to be there. It's really dumb that he's going to go to an open air event. It's really a bad idea for him. It's just not safe. It's a really stupid security risk. At that time, he's in a social group, a Discord, or other group chats with people that he thinks are furry, trans, whatever, related, adjacent, I'm sure. And in reality, they're feds. And so, weeks before the event, someone in those group chats is asking around to get, a temperature check on, hey, have you guys heard about Charlie Kirk's going to come? Yeah, Charlie Kirk's coming to campus. That hateful MFer, he hates trans people. So if he comes to our campus, it'd be great if we could kill him. And I assume at this point, they already know from the paperwork and social media access, the NSA's little profiles they keep on people, they know they've got a person in the chat who has a rifle, who is a former scout, who's a decent shot, and who really doesn't like Charlie Kirk and has a good personal motive for not liking Charlie Kirk. So they're leading him with questions, asking, who wouldn't want that guy dead? Yeah, who wouldn't want to see him get shot? Oh my God, wouldn't it be so great in front of everybody? Oh yeah, it'd be so easy. Oh yeah. And then they say, who's got a gun we can borrow? And his evil angel perks up and goes, I do. I have one. And so he says, yeah, I have a rifle someone could borrow, but I don't want to do it myself. But the rifle wouldn't come back to me. So he's already trying to help them. I suspect. I have no reason other than a hunch to just believe that that's how this went down. He's not innocent. He's guilty of being willing to help someone really kill Charlie Kirk. And I think that's why the feds have no problem railroading him. That's how this makes sense to me. I don't believe the U.S. feds, any one federal analyst would look at this, see someone be definitively innocent, like pure lily church-going white innocent, and just say, yeah, whatever, frame him anyway. I think what they look at is they say his conversation on Discord shows he's willing to do it. He doesn't know that we're feds. He doesn't know that we're decoys. He thinks that we're real transferee fed lovers. So he gives them his gun. And I believe that Robinson thought he was giving murderers access to a murder weapon so that they could go kill Charlie Kirk with it. Maybe his initial response and reaction was legitimate, that he thought he had helped them kill him. The messages, though, to his boyfriend saying, I did it, that was me, and to the Discord group saying, you guys saw what happened at UVU, sorry, it was me, those were not sent from the same username that they claimed was his. It said Tyler. It was not the person who they had already claimed sent the other messages. So it's all very strange. That's why the screenshots are real convenient instead of the actual message. They came over and the neighbors said in 10 days prior to the shooting, on the 1st of September or on the night prior, the neighbor was pretty sure that was the date. They had 2 cars approach the house, multiple people enter through the garage, stay, and then leave with something loaded into the car, either into the trunk or the back seat, because they heard multiple slams shut and then the engine start and then they're going. In my theory, the way that I think that works is he handed off his gun. He thought someone else was going to take it. He's there on campus, walking around, texting, thinking he's going to meet up with them, be ready to be the getaway runner. Someone else takes the shot, then hands off the rifle. He stashes it and thinks he's going to run off with it. That goes awry. And I've made the argument already. It's so dumb. It's such a stupid point, but it's so smart that I have to say it again. You remember in The Lion King when Scar tells Simba, hey, your dad was looking for you down there. Hey, why don't you go stand down there? I think your dad was looking for you down there, right in front of where the stampede's about to happen. And he stages it to appear as though Simba was at fault for the death of Mufasa. And in reality, it was Scar the whole time. But he helped position the star of our movie. Okay, so the point in the analogy there is just it's the same thing. If I can convince the public that a video of a guy walking around confused and looking on campus isn't someone looking for his accomplice, it isn't someone looking for the feds that he was working with, it's just a guy looking for a good place to shoot from. If I can convince you that a video showing you one thing means something different, then any of the things that we claim about Tyler Robinson can just mean something different for the prosecutor. Do I have a 100% proof of every little claim and thought that I have here? Obviously not. This is a theory. But I believe this makes more sense than what the claim is currently. Someone tells Tyler Robinson to be on campus, whether it's to receive the gun or to be a distraction or whatever else. He's a part of a plan. The fact that he's not been in front of a camera or been allowed to make a statement or had one word publicly heard yet tells me that there's a reason the state doesn't want him to have a defense. You need a 6-month continuation to determine what evidence we've flooded you with is even real or fake? No, you're not allowed. If you were really innocent, you'd just be able to prove it. That's not how our justice system works, but that's how they want it to. They're saying the round that they pulled out of Charlie Kirk isn't a metal projectile from a mic pack or from an explosive that was nearby. No, it's a bullet, even though they can't identify it as one. And it must match the rifle, even though the rifle, we don't even know if it was shot. They didn't test that. In fact, they found the cartridge, one unfired I should say they had a round chambered in the rifle. Kind of strange that you would claim he took the rifle, ran, disassembled it, stashed it, then reassembled it, then loaded another round and then left it to be found. That screams staged. So I believe, in short, they came over, they said to him, we need to make sure that we can get your gun and go test with it and, practice with it a few times before we have to use it. So we're going to pick it up a week or two beforehand. And he goes, okay. He invites them over. He gives them the gun. And then he's sitting back telling his parents, knowing in his mind, I already gave Grandpa's gun to those people that are going to kill Charlie with it. That's what he thought. Tell me I'm wrong. Because that day he doesn't have his gun. I think he drove up there to meet them and pick it up. And that was their way of making sure he was in the right place at the wrong time, to be pictured on camera and to look guilty as sin. And if the public doesn't look too far into it, they're going to believe it. That's what it looks like. It looks like he just is guilty. He did a terrible thing and we should all be so mad. Because in truth, he did. He did try to knowingly plan an assassination. But did he pull the trigger? No. And so will they actually have an acquittal? I don't know. You can talk smack about Wendy's, but trash talking Denny's crosses the line. No, I'm a grand slammer. I'm always there. Years ago, I loved to just sit at a Denny's and have a little coffee I would nurse for hours and have a little Eggs Benedict with some very not real hollandaise sauce. But I don't have anything against Wendy's. I don't have anything against Denny's. I'd go either with you. All right. Last thing here is families tend to run cover. Whoops. Families do tend to run cover for lost loved ones, for embarrassing facts. And so if Charlie Kirk and his life were kind of sordid and weird, and as I have said, I think he's a closeted gay guy. I think there's way more to that story that we're never going to hear because it just would unravel all of their stories. I think when you see someone like Erica Kirk, it first makes sense to say, she's not a femme fatale, she's a beard from CAA, and she was partnered up with someone who did not last and did not survive the tribe vote. So now we're all in the public supposed to believe, oh, it's a grieving widow. And the VP has said, you guys don't know the pressures that she's under. Yeah, I can only imagine when you've been partnered up to try to convince the public this very gay guy isn't, while he runs this very traditional conservative organization. You're going to be his blonde trad wife appearing thing. But that's never been her. It's never been her personality. So they won't come out and tell you Charlie's life was fake and his children were never his and they were like stage actors hired for photos. They won't do that. They'll just say, let his legacy be. Stop asking questions. Here, similarly, I wonder if some of these missing UFO scientist people who may have been raised to believe one set of religious facts or have a certain worldview that is based in XYZ or no belief at all, if some of those scientists end up learning that they were wrong, that they're 50 something, and then while working in their ufology, they determine that maybe their atheistic beliefs were wrong. Maybe there is a God. And so all the things that they had done in their life that they thought they could get away with because God doesn't exist and isn't real, and therefore heaven isn't real, and therefore hell's not real. All the people who go into these, I'll say, questionable fields of study, I wonder what they all have to experience. I know Bob Lazar seems like a really nice guy. Very checkered personal life. of people you think just on paper, like would be going to hell. You'd think, well, there's one. So this is an interesting story. I just thought I'd pull it up. It does not fit the typical conspiratorial lean that I would otherwise have. We've talked about all the dead scientists and how it's odd. This is something I think is just sad. The father of a dead scientist denies that her death was suspicious. This is the father of the 11th dead or missing scientist rejects the suspicions about his daughter's death. And the editor does have a note saying, hey, this is about suicide. So if you are, touchy, or if you understand that suicidality is a contagion, that even talking about it increases the likelihood that you're considering it, then don't listen. And for that matter, I know that fact. I shouldn't be talking about it. Here we go. Israel, be gone. Get behind me, Satan. This says this: the father of a scientist who died in 2022, Amy Eskridge, in Huntsville, Alabama. She's the one who maybe infamously for the internet said, all disclosure will come out of Huntsville. All of the ufology stuff that you're meant to believe through Hollywood and TV, they say it's all Area 51. That's a red herring. It's all out of Huntsville. That's what she said. Now she's died by suicide in 2022. Her father says there's nothing suspicious about her death, despite the online speculation connecting her to a list of missing and dead scientists. So it's easy to look at a bunch of people dead in a field and say, there's something going on here. The dad has come out and said she was suicidal. She was struggling with a bunch of other things and it was not related. Now you can take that one of two ways. Is dad trying to keep everyone else in the family safe? Did they take her out and the rest of the family was told, if anyone else speaks a word, you're next. So he just comes out and says, there's nothing to see here. Totally possible. It's also possible that this woman saw a lot, maybe developed a kind of mental illness or a real break from reality that could have happened. I don't have to believe every single conspiracy theorist whistleblower who worked in the government is always totally lucid and on the up and up. Some of them could be crazy. So it's possible that she actually killed herself. And the dad has come out to say scientists die just like other people. Scientists can even commit suicide just like other people. Members of Congress have drawn attention to other cases, saying, quote, there are some of the most advanced scientists and researchers in our nation working on critical national security efforts. Several have mysteriously disappeared. This is too coincidental, and we have to be investigating this. And so I agree, investigate it, but it's just sad to see. And so I thought I'd leave you with that thought, that it's really sad when the public pressures the family so much that the dad has to come out and say, yeah, Amy had a lot of viral videos. She had a lot of hot takes and interesting, seemingly, physics breaking scientific revelations to share with her audience. She had a lot of things to say. She also said a lot of things would happen that we have not yet seen. And now she has, her dad says, killed herself. That was 4 years ago. This, they're calling the 11th. And this has bothered me and I don't get it. Someone can explain it. They said that a week ago, they said, this is the 9th ufologist to be dead or mysteriously, suspiciously missing. And then I look at it and that guy had died in 2023. So I don't know how they're numbering these. He's the 9th, but he died 3 years ago. Here's the 11th. She died 4 years ago. One of them, here it is, General McCasland. This is the one I thought of. Retired Air Force General McCasland. He didn't die in 2023. He just went missing, but they did not include in the write-up in any of the news reports. His wife had gone to the sheriff and said on the second day, hey, he's been missing and he's been sick and we weren't telling anyone. And he had made a comment to me that he didn't want to be a burden. He did not want to go on living in a capacity where he couldn't move or feed himself or take care of himself. And so there was a certain point where he had kind of made the determination he wasn't going to do it anymore. And he told his wife how he was feeling. And so she was aware of this. And then he packs it all up. He leaves all of his things behind. He leaves his car and he's gone. And so we're supposed to think, oh my God, was he abducted? The wife reported him missing and said, the bike is gone. I think he went off into the desert and killed himself. In which case, you may not find him, especially with that magic Iranian new CIA tech where they can determine your heartbeat in the mountains. So they could go search in a desert for him, but if he's a dead body, good luck. He's going to be carrion. He's going to be food for the buzzards. And his wife suspected that, and she reported him missing and said, my husband, the Air Force general, has been sick and has been deteriorating in health and has said he wants to go out on his own terms. And now I can't find him. I think he went off into the desert and killed himself. And they just reported it as suspicious disappearance of ufologist. Master General of the Secret Space Force now gone missing in the desert. That seems a lot grippier for a headline than man sick, riddled with mystery disease, progressive onset of deteriorating health due to UFO work, mysteriously goes off in the desert and offs himself. That's likely what happened. Man, have I not been there mentally, I can tell you. Okay, so it's sad that someone would kill themselves after working in this field. It's more sad if they're forcing the family to say, you go and you tell the news they killed themselves or else. Made the comment yesterday with the lieutenant governor in Virginia, the former lieutenant governor, who they report killed his wife and then himself. I said it to you then, that's a great way to smear someone. It's not bad enough to kill the lieutenant governor and his wife to punish him, but you're also punishing his family and his legacy and his memory by making him a murderer. Like Chris Benoit, hey, we'll set it up to make it look like you killed your wife and your child and then yourself. That's punishment. You want to fight the mob? The mob will kill you that way. They'll make it look like you did it. And so the mob might be just taking a bunch of people out right here and telling the family, if anyone asks, you report it as a suicide or you're next. That's how this comes across to me. That's how I hear this. That's how I read this. All right. I appreciate y'all being here. If you could hit the like, share a link to the show. We're on Rumble. We're on Odyssey. We're on YouTube. We're on X. We're on pill.net. And I'm hanging it up. I hope you have a great Friday. Hope you have a great weekend. I'll see you soon. What am I looking for? We don't really need it. I'll see you next time.